Hello, this is Daughter of Christ, and today we have the real-life transformation story of a well-known Egyptian imam and public figure. His full name is Bahauddin Ahmad Hussein al-Aqad. We'll call him al-Aqad for short. He was born in Egypt in 1949. He was a well-learned imam who had led a mosque community in Talbiyah, adjacent to Al-Haram province in Giza, near Cairo. For over 20 years, not only was he an active imam, but he was also a member of the fundamentalist Islamic missionary group, Jama'at al-Tabligh, which actively calls non-Muslims to Islam, but opposes violence. Al-Aqad also authored many Islamic books and gave many public sermons from mosques, including ones that were posted online. In the early 1990s, he started re-examining Islamic teachings, and in 1994, he published a book called Islam, the Religion, a 500-page work reviewing the traditional beliefs and doctrines of Islam. He hoped to re-establish a stronger belief and adherence to Islam. But this hope failed. Al-Aqad said that for years prior to this, he had begun praying to know God personally. It was not until 2005 that he first met someone who explained to him the basics of the Christian belief, and he delved into studying the Bible. Within weeks, he became a follower of Jesus Christ in January 2005, aged 57. Al-Aqad wrote about this, saying, "This is the proof for all Muslims that anyone who studies the two religions from an objective, serious perspective will choose Christianity." Within 2 months of his conversion, news of Al-Aqad's Christian faith reached the Egyptian state security, called Amn al-Dawla, and the secret police arrested him at his workplace without warning on the 6th of April 2005. Al-Aqad's daughter stated that her father was arrested after visiting the Ibn Khaldun Center. State security forces arrested him after searching his home and finding books on different religions. They suspected he had embraced Christianity and so arrested him, as Egyptian law allows this under the, quote, contempt for religions, unquote, Article 198W of the Penal Code. After 6 weeks of detention by state security, Al-Aqad was sent to Tora prison in Cairo. Only then was his lawyer allowed to visit him, and he was told that Al-Aqad was imprisoned under emergency law with the suspicion of blaspheming Islam. Al-Aqad's detention was then continually renewed every 45 days under emergency law for many months afterwards. Al-Aqad was then charged with, quote, contempt for a heavenly religion, unquote, which is a misdemeanor under Article 98W of the Egyptian Penal Code. Despite this, the court ordered his release on the 30th of July 2006, more than a year after he was first detained. This was due to lack of evidence of any insults to Islam by Al-Aqad's mere conversion to Christianity. After learning that the court had ordered his release, Al-Aqad's wife and 3 children waited for his return home, which did not happen. 10 days later, his lawyer was finally told that although the court had ordered his release, state security forces were still holding him in Giza. There are conflicting laws in Egypt, which allow the state to violate individual rights. While Egyptian Christian citizens are entirely free to embrace Islam and obtain new Islamic ID cards, Muslim citizens are not allowed to change their religion. Those who become Christians often face severe harassment from state security forces, who usually arrest them on charges of insulting Islam or, quote, threatening national security, unquote, thereby circumventing court orders under emergency law. Al-Aqad was not a normal anonymous citizen, but a well-known imam, Islamic public figure, and author of Islamic books, so he posed more of a public problem for them. So despite the court order for Al-Aqad's release from pre-trial detention, state security officials deliberately ignored this order, and instead they held him at their office in Gebr ibn Hayyan in Giza, then transferred him to the Wadi Nutron prison, which is 60 miles north of Cairo, on the Cairo-Alexandria Desert Road, in mid-September 2006. The highly secure Wadi Nutron prison is where most of the inmates are radical Islamists convicted of acts against the Egyptian government. It is also notorious for its primitive conditions in the desert, where prisoners are held in small cells, measuring just 2 meters by 1 meter each. According to Al-Aqad's lawyer, Al-Aqad suffered poor health due to prison conditions, suffering from high blood pressure, skin diseases due to extreme heat, unclean cells, and bites from insects and rodents. His lawyer said, quote, He is imprisoned in a place that could kill him because of his age. His body and mind cannot endure such cruelty from state security forces." Unquote. Al-Aqad's lawyer then filed an appeal with the public prosecutor on September 4, 2006, outlining the serious legal violations in his case, but received no response. In October 2006, Al-Aqad, now having been imprisoned for 18 months, announced from his prison cell that he is imprisoned for insulting Islam by embracing Christianity. The Egyptian secret police had transferred him to Wadi Nutron prison, and he was told that he would remain there indefinitely unless he agreed to work with the government as an informant against other converts, which he refused. According to his lawyer, Al-Aqad was imprisoned in that desert prison, quote, "simply because he chose to embrace another faith and to become a Christian," unquote. Al-Aqad was imprisoned without any charges for over a year, and although he was interrogated repeatedly, he was never told what his specific charge was. During his imprisonment, some of his cellmates spread rumors that he was inviting others to Christianity and that he was baptizing them, which led to him being severely beaten by another prisoner as prison wardens looked on. In an interesting twist, some of Al-Aqad's writings were smuggled out of prison during that time, where he declared that he chose the Christian faith after years of searching in Islam. For more than 20 years, the former Sheikh was a founding member of the Islamic Dawah and Tabligh group in Egypt, when he actively worked to Islamize non-Muslims. A break to the case finally came when the Global Center for Human Rights then urgently appealed to the then Egyptian President Mubarak for the immediate release of Al-Aqad, as he was detained on charges of contempt for religions and had been subjected to ill treatment in prison, despite a court order for his release issued in July of the previous year. However, the security authorities continued to detain him without legal justification, citing emergency law. The case of Sheikh Al-Aqad was a glaring example of an assault on his freedom, which is guaranteed by Article 46 of the Egyptian Constitution, Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and Article 1 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, all treaties that Egypt had signed, making them part of its domestic legislation according to Article 151 of the Egyptian Constitution. Under that pressure, Al-Aqad was finally released on April 28, 2007, having spent 2 entire years in prison for his faith. Al-Aqad remains alive and well today, and even stronger in his Christian faith. There are some videos on YouTube still available where he is brought on as a guest speaker to speak of the grace and truth he had found in the Lord Jesus Christ.
لما ذهب شاول أمر بخلص من الغنائم كي لا يغنم